Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today, doing the what's next on Jaime Minguia, the undefeated former junior middleweight champion at 154. He fought for his fourth time at middleweight on November 13th when he main evented a DAZN card, and he took on Gabriel Rosado in what was seen as possibly his toughest test to this point, and he passed it with flying colors. He dominated Rosado over 12 rounds. Rosado had a lot of confidence coming in. He moved up to 168 in his previous two fights, and he had fought to a controversial split decision loss to Danny Jacobs in a fight a lot of people thought he won last November. And then on the undercard of Munguia and Ziramita back in June, Rosado upset Bektemir Melikuziev, a highly regarded undefeated super middleweight on the rise. He knocked him out in the third round, face planted him. So heading into this one, you know, Rosado was confident as hell, and Munguia just dominated the fight. It was just his effective aggressiveness. He kept coming forward. It wasn't just an all-out assault either. His jab is very good. It's basically a power punch. It's such a strong power jab, what he throws, and it's so impressive. And he just really wore down Rosado. Rosado, you know, showed a lot of heart though, but Munguia got the one-sided decision and is still undefeated. So now the big question is, what's next for Jaime Minguia following that victory over Gabriel Rosado? Well, to me, it's put up or shut up time for Minguia. Minguia has to fight somebody on that top level for a title shot. He's number one in two divisions, right? Or in two governing bodies. The WBC and the WBO have him ranked number one right now. So he could pretty much fight for the title if he wanted to against Jamal Charlo, who's the champion for the WBC, or Demetrius, which is an easier fight to make for the WBO. But whoever it is, and we'll run through the top 10 right now, he's got to fight somebody legit next. There are no ifs, ands, or buts, and he has a plethora of options. This dude has so many options that he could get, and most of the fights are not hard to make. So let's run through the top 10 right now and see what's next for Jaime Minguia. So we start with the number one, the reigning IBF middleweight champion of the world, Triple G Gennady Golovkin. Now this fight almost happened this past year. In 2021, this fight almost happened. I still think this fight is very, very possible. I think Triple G is going to be, if he beats Ryota Murata, which most people feel he will in Japan in December, he's going to be the unified champion of the IBF and the WBA. Now, barring the WBA forcing Triple G to make a mandatory defense against Erislandy Lara, I think Triple G's got a very, very good chance I think it's a very good chance he could fight Jaime Minguia. You know, I'm leaning towards the less likely right now, but God, I wish this fight would happen, because Triple G, even Triple G and old Triple G, is still very good. He's a Hall of Fame fighter, and most Hall of Famers late in their career, their good is better than most people's great. That's just the way it is, and I would love to see this matchup right here. But I'm leaning towards the less likely, but I do think it is possible. So we'll see, if that can come to play. Number two is the undefeated WBC champion, Jamal Charlo. Now, Charlo, you know, doesn't seem interested in offering the fight to Minguia. I think Minguia is going to have to mandate this fight unless Charlo's willing to fight now. You know, I'm not sure. I know the two sides, it almost has to be a mandatory fight, because the PBC and Golden Boy won't work together willingly, most likely, unless it's a mandatory option. And I think Charlo's going to wait it out. I think he's going to wait out to see if he's a possible contender for Canelo. And in the second half of the year, now that we know Canelo's moving up, most likely in his next fight, I think it's more, you know, probable, more likely that Charlo waits around, makes another optional defense, and sees if Minguia is later in the year, because a lot of people are saying Minguia is going to fight Derevyanchenko in a mandatory fight next, that's his most likely option. So we'll see, but that's I don't think it's going to happen next. Number 3 is the undefeated WBO champion, Demetrius Andrade. Now, this fight could happen next if Munguia wanted to fight. But I'm not sure Munguia does. I really don't know if he wants to fight a guy like Andrade. You know, it'd be a great fight. I really think Munguia would have a serious shot of beating Andrade. You know, Andrade is hungry. He wants the bigger fight, so I think he'd be down to make the defense. But can the fight be made? That's the big question. And right now, I don't think Minguia wants to fight. That's just me. I don't think he wants Andrade. I think he sees other options as more beatable options, and I get that. But Andrade, it would be a big fight. It really would for Minguia. He's the WBO's number 1. I mean, he can get it if he wants it, but that's the big question. Does he want it? Number 4 for me right now is Munguia. Number 5 is Erislandy Lara, the WBA regular champion. And Lara is, I mean, he chose to fight at 160 instead of 154. He was the regular champion both weight classes. The WBA is consolidating all their belts. So what I'm seeing is that after Triple G and Murata are done, they're probably going to order Triple G or Murata, the winner, to fight Erislandy Lara next, which means Lara would not be an option. But to be honest, Lara fighting for the PBC, not likely. Him and Minguia lock horns anyway, so I'm not seeing that. Number 6 is Sergey Derevyanchenko. I wish these two guys would throw down, and it looks like this is the most likely option. There's been a lot of talks that Minguia is interested in a final eliminator for the WBC against Derevyanchenko, and then he would fight for the WBC title in the second half of the year. I'm going to be honest, I think that's probably going to be the most likely option for Munguia next. And that's what we're probably going to see. But you never know, and hopefully just keep your keep your ears open. I really believe that's the next fight for Munguia. Number 7 right now for me is Chris Eubank Jr. Not likely. I think Eubank would be down for the fight, but I just think Munguia would look at it as a high risk. What's the point fight when I have all these other options that are better, not necessarily lower risk, but they're just better options in terms of achievements. You know, beating Derevyanchenko gets him a mandatory title shot. Right now, I don't think he has that option with Eubank, so I'm not seeing it. Number 8 is the WBA super champion Ryota Murata. Murata's fighting Triple G next. If he beats him, I'm not saying it's completely off the table, but I doubt it happens just because I really believe the WBA is going to mandate Erislandy Lara to fight the winner because they're consolidating all their belts and he's the regular champion. So we're either going to have a rematch between Triple G and Murata or likely Murata versus Lara. Plus, it is Top Rank because Murata has ties with Top Rank fighting Munguia, who's with Golden Boy, and I just don't see those two sides locking up. And then number 9 is Janibek Alakuni. Zanabek Alamakanuli, Kazakh style. Well, Kazakh style, I think he'd be down for the fight, but he's already made a request to the WBO for them to make him the mandatory number 1 contender to fight Demetrius Andrade next for the WBO title. He's number 2 in the WBO right now. He wants a title shot. He's undefeated, and he is showing that he is absolutely fearless because he is not ducking Demetrius Andrade. He wants to go straight to that fight, and he also has ties to Top Rank, so not likely that fight could be made anyways with him and Minguia. I don't think Minguia wants to fight him. I think Derevyanchenko is a more beatable option to get to a bigger fight with Jamal Charlo. That's what I see happening. So not likely. And then number 10 right now is Luis Arias coming off of his upset split decision victory over Jarrett Hurd. That's why I got Arias at number 10 right now. And he's a PBC guy, so I don't see that one going down. So Jaime Minguia really does have a lot of options if he wants to cash in on him. But I think the most likely one that he's going to do is Derevyanchenko. That's the fight I see him taking next. He has no choice. He cannot fight another quote-unquote, I'm not calling them setup fights because he's fought 4 solid middleweights. But all of them, I'm going to be realistic, all 4 of those guys, outside of Rosado, but Rosado, 10 years older, coming back down in weight to fight him, you know, I look at him as maybe kind of back into the top 10 at middleweight. But outside of the Rosado fight, he fought guys that are just out of the top 10. Solid middleweights, though. You got to give him credit. Spike O'Sullivan, always a solid middleweight, and he beat him. Turiano Johnson, always a solid middleweight. He beat him. This year, who did he beat? Primoža Ziramita. He was supposed to fight Maciej Sulecki. He fought Primoža Ziramita, who was a guy who fought Triple G last year, and he beat him one round quicker than Triple G beat him in. And then the other guy was, the other one was Gabriel Rosado, which he beat convincingly. So now there's no reason for him to not fight a true top 10 middleweight next. He has to. You know, Derevyanchenko is a true top 10 middleweight. He's fought 3 consecutive world champions. Well, I think he had one mandatory fight in between that. But he's fought for the title 3 times and fought his ass off against Jacobs, against Triple G, and Charlo. Never been knocked out, and he's a tough as hell fighter. So, you know, he's going to have to go through a tough middleweight, and I think Derevyanchenko is that. And this is his 5th fight at middleweight. He's 25 years old now. He's been a champion at junior middleweight, where he made 4 or 5 successful defensives there. So there's really no reason why Minguia shouldn't be ready to step up and fight the best fighters now. He really is ready. He's been brought along fine. I have no problem with who he has beaten up to this point. But now he's got to step up his game, fight a top 10 guy, top 5 guy. Second half of the year needs to be a title fight, or I really will say he's ducking people. So that's it. That's the what's next on Jaime Minguia, the undefeated former junior middleweight world champion. I hope you guys enjoyed this. True boxing. You've been hit with the truth.